guys, and welcome to today's Los Blancos podcast. Today we'll be discussing the Real Madrid season and what we've got planned for next season. So, yeah, obviously last season was a big disappointment, and we're back here with the Los Blancos podcast. We're going to be talking about some of the games next season. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. So, stay tuned in. Obviously, we're taking a little bit of a break now, but we'll be back in the next couple of weeks. We'll be talking a little bit more. It's just me today, no Sean. But hopefully you'll be back for a couple of podcasts in the next coming weeks. But let's start. We'll talk about Real Madrid. We'll talk about Barcelona. We'll talk about Atleti. But let's start by talking about La Liga, because for me it's very important that we go and try and reclaim the La Liga title this year. Because last season I think it was very much our fault that we end up throwing away La Liga. There was a 1 month period in which everything just fell apart, and unfortunately we surrendered the league in that 1 month, and so it was in our hands and then we threw it away. So that's totally on us. But I always have this phrase, I always have this this idea that you don't have to beat Barcelona 38 times to win La Liga. You only have to, you play them twice, and then you have 36 other games. So if you win 36 games and then lose to Barcelona twice, you're still going to win the league. So, it doesn't matter if we're not better than Barcelona at this current moment in time. We just need to be able to beat the smaller teams efficiently, consistently, every single time we face them. And I think that's something that Xabi Alonso is going to help us do. We saw we didn't see it, but we heard about the game against Leganes behind closed doors, in which we came back. I think just to have that ability to score from corners now as well is quite important. So I'm very, very excited about that possibility, and so yeah, I want to see what happens, right? I want to see what happens with this team. But let's talk about the team going forward. What are the issues for Real Madrid that we have to fix? I think the first thing is that we did leak quite a lot of goals last season, and we didn't score enough goals on the other end to offset it. Because at the end of the day, we looked at Barcelona, and Barcelona, they leaked a lot of goals as well, but they went and scored more goals than the opponent in most of the games. Now, unfortunately for them, it didn't lead to a Champions League title, but it did lead to a La Liga title, in which they were far and away the best team in La Liga. So, you just need to hope that our defence is improved to the level that, hopefully the attack can also improve. I think the first thing is we need to find a solution to this attack, because I don't know what the solution is, but for me the temporary solution is you got to drop those guys. You got to drop one of the guys. So hopefully, we figure out what happens with Mbappe and Vinicius. But I'm not hopeful. I'm not that hopeful about that situation. And so it's looking not great for us right now. What they're gonna do? How we're gonna fix that issue? But listen, I'm worried. I'm worried for that problem in this team. But for me, the temporary issue is you gotta drop one of them. You gotta drop one of them, and for me that in this current moment in time, that's clearly Vinicius. Then you need to drop. That's only a temporary thing. I still have faith that Vinicius can improve, but for now, just as a temporary solution, the best idea is to drop Vinicius, because he's not giving you as much output as Kylian Mbappe, and he's not running as much as Gonzalo Garcia. So it just makes the most sense at this current moment in time, and hope that Vinicius can reclaim some of that form off the bench. Imagine having Vinicius as a super sub. That's a really good opportunity. So I think have some faith in Vinicius, but you also do need to do what's best for the team in this current moment in time, which is probably to drop him. So yeah, I'm a bit worried. Of course, I'm a bit worried of Vinicius' form, but I still have faith. I still have faith that he can be a good player for us. It still can be a world-class player for us. But I just think for now we need to have that temporary solution. The other main issue I think we've had is the centre backs, because we saw at the Club World Cup, everyone apart from Dean Howson was a bit dodgy. So we need to figure out a solution to that. For me, I think let's start by talking about the defence. What's the solution? Is it a 5-back or is it 4-back? I think the idea that Real Madrid can't play with a 5-back is so outdated. This is a new era, and I think you need to you need to be able to adapt. That's something Real Madrid have been able to do. You need to be able to adapt, and I think Xabi Alonso will help us do that. The 5-back fits us really damn nicely, especially in the 4-back positions. In the midfield, it fits us so well. And obviously it doesn't help us in the attack, but I think defensively, especially after the shocking performances we saw last year, I think it's the best possible solution that you can get from a team. So I think for me, it's very obvious that you should be playing with a 5-back next season. And I really do like Tchouaméni in that defensive midfield / centre-back role. I really do like it. It fits him really nicely. When he's playing in a flat back three, he isn't, I like him when he's playing. I use the example of the quarterback role, but I like him in that position where he's just picking passes, moving the ball from side to side, distributing, circulating the ball, not in there to make the incisive passes, but circulating. I think he's very, very good at that. And so I think that's the position I would ideally like Tchouaméni to play, and also makes uses of his defensive abilities, and also covers his defensive woes as well. Is the fact that he's a bit a bit silly in terms of tracking. We know this for a while. It has improved in the last 6 months, to be fair to him, but he is a bit stupid in that regard. So there are guys around him to compensate for that. So I think it really does fit him really nicely, that centre-back / defensive midfield role, and he can do whatever the game requires of him as well, which is a really important thing. Really important part of that is the fact that he can move slightly forward if we need him to, but we can also drop a little bit deeper if we need a little bit more control. It fits us perfectly nicely, and so I think I really do like this new role for Tchouaméni. But then the two centre-backs, obviously Dean Howson. I mean, it's crazy how we signed a centre-back from Bournemouth and he's immediately our best centre-back. He's so far and away our best centre-back at this current moment in time. It also proves that, Real Madrid, if they signed a couple more guys, how important that would be. But obviously, I think Dean Howson is guaranteed starter. It's just who goes to that third slot. It's between, obviously, Asensio, Rudiger, and Militao. Militao, obviously playing against Leganes, scored that ridiculous goal from beyond the halfway line, which is crazy. But I think for me, I would go for Militao. I think in terms of the fit next to Howson, I think it fits really nicely. Rudiger also fits all three of them actually fit really nice. That's more of a thing on Dean Howson. He's just a fantastic football player. He's just really, really adaptable. But I think Militao's proven that he has got back to physical levels. He's got back to the correct physical levels. Obviously, I'm a bit worried about a relapse. It happened last time. I don't want it to happen again. So I'm a bit worried about that. But I would also back Militao to come back stronger like he did last time, and provide really good value for us. So I'm gonna back Eden Militao and say she should be the other centre back. Raul Asensio, I'm a bit worried for him and his place in the team. You don't want him to drop even further, but he really didn't look good in the Club World Cup. It was a really poor tournament from him, and so that's probably bombed his reputation under Xabi Alonso. He will have opportunities to get back into the team, so I hope he does take those opportunities, but it's not looking good for him right now. And then also Antonio Rudiger, I think, had a really poor tournament as well. Just didn't look like himself and hasn't looked like himself for a long time now. He looks erratic again. Like I remember when he first came into Chelsea and he was a liability to play because he was just such a dumbass when he was running around and kicking everyone that he saw and all that kind of stuff. And then he fixed up under Thomas Tuchel, and in his first 2 seasons, first 2 seasons under Real Madrid, he fixed that as well. But last season it was back to that stupid erratic version of himself where he just goes and kicks anyone he sees, and he's a real issue. You find issues with him, and in terms of his disciplinary issues. So I'm obviously a bit worried about that situation, but hopefully he can get back to normal soon enough, because we need that. We need that from him. In terms of the right back, obviously I think Trent makes a huge difference to this team, and we've already seen that. So he should be the right back. But I'm excited to see Dani Carvajal back, and hopefully potentially Dani Carvajal can play as that right centre back as well. If for some reason next season we go into it and we find out that Rudiger's completely just dropped a level, Alaba's unplayable, Asensio is playing like a dumbass, and Militao is just not on the right physical level, then potentially you could play Dani Carvajal there as well. He's a potential option as well. So I think you've got a lot of defensive versatility. Obviously, it's not ideal. A lot of these players aren't in ideal states, but it is still, I think, good enough, by far and away good enough to win in La Liga, for sure. And also the left back, Fran Garcia, he played really well at the Club World Cup, but then against PSG, I think you saw the limitations. Against teams that are going to press you like dogs, hunt you down, he is the weak link. He is a weak link in that defense, and he will make mistakes on the ball. So it's important that we got Alvaro Carreras in, and hopefully he can be a valuable addition to this team, and add some really good quality value to the team as well. So I'm excited to see what Alvaro Carreras can do for us. But yeah, I think that, and then the final thing I want to talk about is first 2 months we'll be missing Jude Bellingham as well. I don't think it'll be too much of an issue because we've got other alternatives in this team. Obviously Jude Bellingham brings us so much, but we've got the ability to cover up somewhat at least. So hopefully that we can do that. Camavinga's also got injured again, which is really damn annoying because I really would have counted on Camavinga in this season. It's just annoying, but his injury record's not great as of late. But the midfield I'd go for is to start the season anyways. So I would go for a midfield three of Arda, of Valverde, and then I'm just not sure what would you do. And obviously in the smaller games, I think you'd just play a front three: Vinicius, Mbappe, and Gonzalo Garcia, and then you play a midfield of Güler and Valverde. But obviously in the big games, that's just not possible. You will get absolutely eaten alive. So we need to find a solution. We need to find an option in that midfield. Is it Dani Ceballos? Is Dani Ceballos gonna step up again? Hopefully. He didn't look back. He didn't look good when he came back from injury. But hopefully he can be a solid player for us next season and go back to that really top form he was in before that injury. Hopefully. But yeah, I mean, that's what we've got to say. But let's look at our competition. I mean, I've talked about our limitations and how we can fix them, but we've obviously got to talk about our competition. Barcelona, we'll start with them. It's been an eventful summer, kind of, for Barcelona. It's been a bit of a weird summer. They've had to cut a lot of guys. They've had to see what they can do, but in their departures, they've lost Pau Victor. He's gone to Braga. They lost a couple of academy guys. They let Clement Longley go to Atleti permanently. And then Inigo Martinez is the big one. He's off to Al Nassr. That's obviously a big loss for them because he was starting for them. He was very, very good for them last season. So the fact is they've lost the starting level centre back. That's potentially a big loss. We'll see how Ronald Araujo does playing as a starter once again, but that's a big loss for them, losing Inigo Martinez. But incoming, they brought in Joan Garcia, they brought in Marcus Rashford. Those are the two big ones. I mean, we'll start with Joan Garcia. They needed a keeper all of last season. Szczęsny did a good job on the most part, actually, but Joan Garcia is going to make a huge difference for them because he is an actual quality goalkeeper. I don't know how good he is, actually, because, he did really well for Espanyol, but it's a completely different... Going from Espanyol to Barcelona, by the way, that's a really snaky move from his part. I mean, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know how you can, do you remember last season where he was hailed as a superhero, basically, for Espanyol, for keeping them up, and then to leave for Barcelona? That's crazy. I don't know why he did that, but Joan Garcia, I mean, it's going to make a huge difference, but I don't know how much, how translatable are the skills that you can bring from Espanyol to Barcelona, because at Espanyol you're going to be facing a lot of shots per game, whereas at Barcelona you're not going to be facing that many. You're going to have to be sweeping a lot, you're going to have to be getting up the pitch a lot, you're going to have to be good with your feet, all of this different stuff that you wouldn't have had to do at Espanyol. It's obviously a completely different proposition to playing Joan Garcia. For Joan Garcia going from Espanyol to Barcelona, but I think he will be a good addition for them. At the end of the day, I just don't see, and even if it does go bad, it was only 25 million euros. So, you know, if it did go bad, if it does go bad, you can just put Szczesny in goal. It's no big deal. Marcus Rashford, it's a lot of people are a bit like, why would you do that? But at the end of the day, you've got Hansi Flick there, and we saw what Hansi Flick did with a lot of guys who were seen as useless. Ferran Torres was seen a bit as useless, and he got plenty of use out of it. Marcus Rashford is, I think he will play really, really well under Hansi Flick. So I think it's a really good addition for them. To be totally honest, I think at the end of the day, it's just a backup, and so I think Marcus Rashford will just be a good, solid addition for them. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the. I'm really unsure about the proposition of Barcelona next season. I mean, goalkeeper we will see Joan Garcia, right back Jules Koundé stays the same. Centre backs will probably be Araujo and Cubarsí. You're putting Araujo there. Last season it was definitely a liability. Instead of Inigo Martinez, so you know that's a potential downgrade there. You got left back Alejandro Valde will be back, where they had to play Gerard Martin towards the end of the season. And then midfield, they have De Jong, Pedri, and Casado. Oh, they've also got Dani Olmo, and you also see Fermin as well. So they've got plenty of options in midfield. They've got options up top as well. Obviously, Lemine, Lewandowski, Rafinha. Now they've got Ferran and Marcus Rashford off the bench. They've got a couple more kids coming through. I've seen over the last few weeks. So in terms of their depth, they've definitely got better. But I don't know. I think to me, it's completely in our hands, because I still believe we've got. I'll say this every single year. I say this every single year, but I do believe we've got a better squad than them. So if we lose the league, it's on our own accord. We've messed up. We've messed up somewhere. Just like last year, we messed up. So I think it is in our hands. But I think we should also go to our other rivals, talk about them as well. We've got to talk about Atletico Madrid. They've had a big summer, a lot more busy than Barcelona, because they've had a lot more. They've lost a lot more players. They've moved a lot more players. So let's talk about it. They've sold Samuel Lino, a guy who's actually caused us plenty of issues. They've sold him to Flamengo. Arthur Vermeer, and he didn't play really much last year. They've sold him to Leipzig. Rodrigo Riquelme, they moved to Real Betis. It's my first time actually seeing this one. I didn't know that. That's interesting, because I thought he was actually quite a good player. So, you know, good addition for Betis. Angel Correa, they moved him to Tigres. Obviously, that's the end of his Atletico career. Reinildo, another solid player for them. They moved him to Sunderland. Saul, they've moved him to Flamengo. He's had a nothing career over the last few years. Rodrigo the Ball is now an Inter Miami player. That's a big. They've moved him. Obviously, that's big for him. He was definitely a regular for them. So that's obviously a big change to lose Rodrigo de Paul. But I think their additions have definitely replaced him. So I don't think that'll be too much of an issue. Thomas Lemar. He hasn't really been playing that much. Axel Witsel and Cesar Azpilicueta both left on a free. So those are all the departures from Atleti, but we've got to talk about their additions. Firstly, Clement Longley came on a free. Juan Musso played in goal for them a couple of times last season. Yeah, sure, whatever. Marc Pubi from Almeria. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, because he's not Spanish, he's Catalan, so I don't know how to say his name. Marc Pubi. I'm saying it like it's Spanish, but it's not Spanish, so it's definitely some weird pronunciation, but whatever. He brought from Almeria. I don't really know too much about him. He played for a couple of years ago for Almeria, and he was a solid right back, but 60 million, I don't know. Ruggeri from Atalanta, that's a good signing. They do need a left back. They lost both Samuelino and Reinaldo, and Rodrigo Riquelme, so they really did need this left back. So he's a really good player for Atalanta last season, and I think it's a good addition. Thiago Almada, they brought him in from Botafogo. That's a really good signing as well. Brings quite a bit of creativity. I think that's a good signing for them. Johnny Cardoso is a really fantastic signing. For me, that's really fantastic signing. Really good business. Fits their team really nicely. And this is how Atleti, at the end of the day, became such a big club. And transformed their club is to buy these La Liga players who are underrated and to make them really good. I think Johnny Cardoso is one of those guys. He's going to replace Rodrigo de Paul, and I think he's better than Rodrigo de Paul, to be totally honest. I think he's just going to eat a load of ground, and he's just going to be a solid player for them. So I think that's big for them. David Hanko from Feyenoord, this is a good player as well. I think he will be very solid for them. Really does fit their team really nicely as well. He's good on the ball as well. It's just a solid player. But the biggest one they've signed is Alex Baena from Villarreal. Probably amongst the best creators in La Liga. I was going to say the best, but he probably isn't. That's probably Lamine Yamal. So he is probably the second best creator in La Liga, and he's only 23. I think it fits really nicely. He's aggressive. We all know about Alex Baena. I think it's a really good addition. These are really good addition from Atleti. And last season they did fall short in that 1 month. You remember where they lost to us in the Champions League, then they lost to Barcelona in the Copa del Rey, and then they lost to Barcelona League just to completely end their hopes at La Liga as well. So they lost all of their tournaments, and there was a lot of expectation for Atleti last season as a potential club that could upset all of us. They didn't. They had a really poor season in the end, and a really disappointing one. So this summer, I think is a huge summer for them. They've added a lot of good quality pieces around the edges, and so for Atleti, I think you're really looking good next season. If I just go to their squad, it's not loading, but if I go to their squad by position, goalkeeper they've got Jan Oblak. Now they've got centre backs options of Lenormand, Hanko, Jimenez, and Langley. Ruggeri and Galan are left back. I don't know what I can say. Molina and Pubi are right back, and then they've got midfield options of Barrios, Gallagher, Cardoso, Koke, Marcos Llorente, and they've got attacking midfield options of Almada, Baena, Juliano Simeone, and then they've got attackers of Griezmann, Julian Alvarez, and Soloth. So they've added really well. And their depth is very good. We've known this for a while. They've got some of the best depth in La Liga. They've got better depth than us in Barcelona, in my opinion. They've got I think they are very good at having really good backup players. They've got backup players on the level of their starters, which is, I think, something that we don't have, something Barcelona don't have. Now, what can we expect from Atleti? I don't really know, to be honest. Like I said last season, a lot of people predicted Atleti to upset a lot of teams last season, and they didn't do that. They fell short in all of the competitions, and you saw at the Club World Cup they got grouped by Botafogo and PSG. So at the end of the day, I just don't know what to expect from Atleti. But let's go back to Real Madrid. Let's talk about the so my expectations. La Liga, I already said I expect us to win. I also want one of the two domestic cups, and that would require us beating Barcelona. We have to beat Barcelona this season. There is no excuse to losing to Barcelona again and again like we did last season. To be fair to Ancelotti, we did come close in the last two games, but that's still not good enough. You can't just come close to beating Barcelona, especially when you lost 4 times in one season. So Xabi Alonso has to improve on that, and he has to figure out a way to beat Barcelona this season, because we cannot go ahead and afford to lose against Barcelona 4 times again this season, especially if it's going to be coming up in every single competition. So we need to win one of the trophies at least. one of the domestic cups at least. Champions League. Let's talk about the Champions League. Big tournament for us this season. We kind of went outside last season against Arsenal, talking about the Remontada, and it just all went wrong, and it was just all wrong that season. It just didn't feel right. No point in last season did I feel confident in the Champions League, and we need to improve this season. So we've obviously already talked about Barcelona as a real contender. PSG obviously are huge favourites once again. They're really damn good again, and they would smack the shit out of us like we saw in the Club World Cup. They would smack the hell out of us. So we need to figure out a way to fix that up. And hopefully Xabi Alonso has learned from his mistakes against PSG, but not really his mistakes. It was Rudiger and Asensio doing stupid things. But hopefully they can figure out something out from that. The other problems, Liverpool have expanded their team a lot. Maybe they're gonna have some adaptation period, but they've got a lot of additions. They've changed their team quite a lot, and they look really damn strong. They're gonna potentially sign Isak and Rodrigo before the season ends, before the window ends. Sorry. So that's a huge couple of additions away for Liverpool. Arsenal look even better now. They've added Gyökeres. They've added Christian Norman. Oh, Christian Norman? What's his name? They added Christian Norgard. I know it's like Norman. Christian Norgard from Brentford. And then they also added Subimendi as well. So they've added quite a few good players over there at Arsenal as well. So they look even better. Man City look at a level that's slightly better. I'm not sure about Man City. I don't think they're going to be too much of an issue this season. But they did add well. And you never know. You can't count Pep out at the start of the season. That's just stupid if you do. Chelsea obviously won the Club World Cup. They looked really good as well. They've added João Pedro. They've added Jorge, and they're looking to add Xavi Simons as well. So Chelsea potentially still have more to go. They've still got more chances to make, and they've still got more squad places to fill. So Chelsea are looking really good as well. And then we head elsewhere. I think Bayern have really improved as well. Luis Diaz really does improve their team, in my opinion. And they did look good in the Club World Cup. To be fair to them, they did look decent against PSG. They just couldn't take their chances, and PSG knocked them out. So I think we've got a lot of teams that are going to cause us plenty of issues in the Champions League next year. What's my expectation? My expectation is we can't look sorry like we did last season. We looked sorry at every stage. We looked sorry in the league phase. We played. Who did we play? We played Lille. We lost. We played AC Milan. We lost. I can't remember everyone we played now. It just feels like such a long time ago. But we just looked sorry in that league phase. We made it past Manchester City and we looked really good there. But then we looked sorry against Atleti. We had to take it as pens, and we had to get some dodgy penalty stuff, which obviously it was a right decision, but obviously that obviously scrutinised and everything. But then we play Arsenal and we just look really, really damn bad. So we just got to be better this season. We've got to look better. We've got to play better. And if we turn up at PSG's doorstep on the semi-finals and we lose 1-0 in the first leg and then we lose 2-0 in the second leg, or 2-1, let's say, fine, I can accept that. But it feels like every time we lose in the Champions League in recent years, it does feel like everything's crashing and burning. And there's something that Real Madrid do. They don't lose normally. They lose by crashing and burning. Everything falls apart and everything gets smashed apart. And everything. Everyone's mad. All the fan base is just pissed off, and the players are just looking sad and sorry. And it's not a good vibe when Real Madrid lose. So hopefully, we can improve that performance this season. But apart from that, that's all I've got to say about this season preview. It's going to be an exciting season. Like I said, we're going to have some content coming out for you in the next couple of weeks. Mastanto podcast coming out, the one after this one, and then we'll also have a Tyrol post-game podcast, WSG Tyrol, which is going to be a small little friendly. It's going to be shown on Real Madrid TV, so hopefully we can watch that one and enjoy that one. Enjoy a win there. And then after that, next week we've got Osasuna, and then yeah, that's it. Real Madrid season starts next week, so I hope you guys have enjoyed today's Los Blancos podcast. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.